Before I talk about the game, I think that first we had to go back to the release of Street Fighter 3. Like I was talking about in the Mark of the Wolves video, the reception of Street Fighter 3 on release was not good. Its sales were also lower than what was expected by Capcom. This was mainly because of the lack of older characters, really fighting games becoming more popular, and player moving from arcades to consoles. The bad reception of the game and the loss of interest towards 2D fighting games made it so that Capcom believed that releasing another 2D Street Fighter game would be too risky for almost 10 years. But in 2008, Capcom released Street Fighter 4 in arcades and home consoles in 2009. Learning from what happened to Street Fighter 3, Capcom decided to focus on making it a lot like Street Fighter 2. On release, the characters are mostly from Street Fighter 2. The start of the game took place between Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3, making this game a prequel to Street Fighter 3. It also included online matchmaking. After release, the game received 3 more versions that included more characters and gameplay changes. After the last update, the roster of the game increased to 44 characters. The game received very good reviews and sold very well. It also has a reputation for reviving the 2D fighting game genre. For example, seeing the reactions to Street Fighter 4, Mortal Kombat returned to being a 2D series. But the good reception to the series didn't last. In 2016, Street Fighter 5 was released exclusively on the PS4 and Windows. The reason for this is that Capcom was having financial problems during the early to mid 2010s. Their games were getting bad reviews and their sales were decreasing. The only reason why the game was developed was because Sony decided to fund the development of the game, but only if the game was exclusive to the PS4, which made it so that Xbox players could not play the game anymore. Compared to the home versions of Street Fighter 4, the game only had 16 characters in the initial roster, versus the 25 from Street Fighter 4. But compared to other fighting games at the time, Street Fighter 5 also had even less characters. Also, like Street Fighter 4, the game takes place before Street Fighter 3, making it another prequel to Street Fighter 3. The game's development was rushed and lacked polish, so the game was released with not a lot of content. The game didn't release with an arcade mode, which has been a mode that has been in the series since the beginning of the series. For single player content, there was a survival mode that lets you play against a computer until you lose, and a very short story mode for each character that shows a snippet of what was going on with the characters, but nothing significant. In contrast, other games at the time, like Tekken 7 and Mortal Kombat X, had full cinematic stories. The main focus of the game was just playing against other people, but the game's online mode didn't work properly for a long time. Reviews for the game were not great, mostly because of the lack of content. Players criticized that the game was sold at a full price during release, and wondered why they should buy Street Fighter 5 instead of other rivals that offered more content. Eventually these problems were solved in later updates. They added a cinematic story, combo trials, and an arcade mode, but they took a long time to be implemented. Capcom expected the game to sell 2 million copies in its first 3 months, but it didn't reach that number. The game did sell over 7 million copies, but it took 5 years worth of updates that improved how players saw the game, and the game going on discount multiple times. Street Fighter 5 became a story of breaking the trust that players had in the franchise and almost killing the series again. If Capcom wanted to keep the series alive, they would have to earn the trust from players again, by learning from what they did right and wrong between Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter 5.
Training getting wilder.
Street Fighter 6 was released in June of 2023, in last gen and current gen consoles and PC. While developing the game, the developers thought about what made Street Fighter unique, how to attract new players, and what kind of extra content could be added. The developers concluded that Street Fighter has always been about characters from different countries fighting each other in street fights. They believed that to make the game more unique, they should go back to the style of Street Fighter 3. The art style and music of Street Fighter 3 was focused on urban settings and hip-hop. But this time, instead of the setting being in the late 90s, the new setting was going to be current times. When it came to characters, the developers knew that other players would like to see the other characters come back. There are 18 characters in the initial roster. The 8 original characters from Street Fighter 2, plus 3 other Street Fighter games come back. There are 7 new characters. Unlike Street Fighter 3, most of the new characters have ties to older characters or have similar fighting styles. For the first time since Street Fighter 3, the setting of the game moves forward. The game takes place years after Street Fighter 3. The passage of time is reflected in the design of the older characters. They age up the characters and a lot of them are in a different place or mindset from what they were in Street Fighter 5. Meanwhile, most of the newer characters are younger and are seen as a new generation of the Street Fighter series. The developers designed the new characters with the concept of appealing to new players. While developing the game, the developers focused on 3 different game modes. The developers believed that the Street Fighter series had always focused on the concept of players versus players. But instead of promoting it as a main game mode this time, they promoted it as the endgame content. The first of the 2 new game modes is the World Tour. The World Tour is the story mode of the game. It lets players create their own character and explore different areas throughout the world, with the main one being the fictional city of Metro City. While exploring the different areas, players can interact with the playable characters and learn their techniques, which can make it so that the player's avatar can be a mixture of different characters. Also, players can complete side quests given by these characters or getting gifts to get to know them better. In the World Tour, players can also fight against random NPCs or play minigames that will naturally teach players how to play the game and be ready for the player vs player mode. The next new game mode is the Battle Hub. When designing this game mode, developers wanted to simulate the arcade experience from the 90s, since it doesn't exist anymore. The Battle Hub is a social game mode. Players can meet other players, talk to each other, fight against each other in arcade cabinets, or in avatar vs avatar fights, play events, or play retro arcade games. When it comes to the versus mode, apart from the normal PvP mode, they added Extreme Battles. Extreme Battles is a party mode in which players get to set up unusual rules and gimmicks, kind of like playing with items in Smash Bros. The game uses the standard 6-button layout from the previous Street Fighter games, but they added a new button layout to make it easier for newer players to play the game. This is called Modern Controls. These controls make it so that instead of having 3 punch and 3 kick buttons, the controls have a light, medium, and heavy attack buttons, but also a special move button. The special move button allows players to use special moves with the press of a button plus a direction, instead of pressing multiple inputs. There is also an assist button. The assist button lets players do automatic combos, but they are usually not strong combos. The game introduces the drive system as a new main gameplay mechanic. Each character has a new gauge called the drive gauge. When a fight starts, the drive gauge is completely full for all players. The drive gauge decreases when you block a hit, get countered, get hit by a super move, or by using techniques that use the drive gauge, like overdrive special moves. It will gradually increase automatically if the previous things are not happening. If the gauge is emptied, the player will enter the burnout state. In this state, they cannot use any techniques used in the drive gauge, and they will take chip damage when they block a special move, until the gauge recovers completely automatically. There are 4 main drive system techniques. The first of these techniques is the drive impact. The drive impact is a powerful strike that can absorb up to 2 hits and stun the opposing player, leaving the opponents open. It is performed by pressing the heavy punch and heavy kick buttons, or an assigned shortcut button. If it is done against an opponent next to the wall, the opponent will get stunned. If the opponent is in burnout, the opponent will be stunned for a longer time. Drive impacts can be countered by grabs or by an opposing drive impact. The second drive technique is a drive parry. The drive parry allows players to repel any attack and replenish the drive gauge if it is successful. Drive parries are done by holding the medium punch and kick buttons, or an assigned shortcut button. A perfect parry can be done by doing a drive parry right before being attacked. Parries can be countered by grabs. The third drive technique is a drive rush. The drive rush is a technique that lets players dash forward from a drive parry or from a normal move that can be cancelable. They are performed by pressing forward twice during the previous 2 conditions. You can also press the parry button as a shortcut when cancelling from a normal move. Drive rushes are a way of extending combos. The final drive technique is the drive reversal. It is a counter attack that can be done while you are blocking an attack or you are getting up after being knocked down. They are performed by pressing forward plus the drive impact buttons while meeting the previous conditions. When developing these techniques, the developers believed that they should make these techniques powerful, flashy, and easy to do for new players. When the game came out, its reception was very good. Critics praised how much content the game has, and the effort to make it appealing to new and older players. The game surpassed the target sales of Street Fighter V in the first 2 months, reaching 2 million copies sold in a shorter amount of time. As of early 2025, Street Fighter VI has reached 4 million copies sold. Currently, the game is one of the most popular fighting games at the moment. Right now the game is in its 2nd season of DLC. In June 2024, Capcom announced the 2nd season of DLC. It announced that M. Bison, the main antagonist of Street Fighter 2, and Elena from Street Fighter 3 will be DLC for the game. But it also announced 2 other unexpected characters. For the first time ever, they will introduce guest characters from a different video game company into the Street Fighter series. These 2 characters are Terry and Mai Shiranui from the SNK's Fatal Fury series. This was significant because, like I said in the first video of this series, both Street Fighter and Fatal Fury are connected. Both were created by the same people, and during the 90s, Capcom and SNK were rivals, competing with each other with every new game. It was kind of like the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega during the 90s. It is also the first time since 2001's Capcom vs SNK 2 that they will work together on a fighting game. Since the announcement, Capcom and SNK have both hinted at the possibility of future collaborations. A few months later, the Capcom vs SNK games were also announced to come back in a future fighting game collection by Capcom. These announcements and the talks between the developers gave hope to players that there might be a Capcom vs SNK 3 in the future. Now let's move on to Terry. Terry was released as the 2nd character of Season 2 in October 2024. Like with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Terry has a combination of techniques from his different appearances in the many Fatal Fury and King of Fighter games. Since Street Fighter is a 6-button fighter, instead of a 4-button fighter like Fatal Fury or King of Fighters, the developers could add extra moves in those 2 extra buttons. For example, one of Terry's oldest moves, the Burning Knuckle, can be done by pressing the quarter circle back command and then a punch button. But if it is done with the light punch, Terry will do the quick burn instead, which is a move from a Japanese exclusive PlayStation 1 port from 1998 of Real Battlefield 3 Special. Some of his other techniques got changed to command normals instead of special moves. For example, his power dunk and the ability of lane shifting from the Fiat Fury series. His power geyser from Fiat Fury 2 is in the game too. He has the ability to use the drive gauge to upgrade his power geyser into the twin geyser, and he can upgrade it even further into the triple geyser by using a super bar. And that's about it. Terry's gameplay has been shown throughout this series of videos, and this one is not that different from the previous ones, except for the Smash Bros video, so I don't think a complete guide is needed. So now, let's move on to the gameplay. Okay, so welcome back. This is going to be the arcade mode for Street 6. All of the previous videos led to this, from starting from Fiat Fury 1 up to, well, Terry's introduction into Street 6. Actually, I played this before, but I forgot to record my mic audio was turned off, and I wasn't recording anything. So I had to do it again. This really the idea was to like release this really like around the same time as it came out, but back in October. But because I guess I want to place more detail in those videos. So this got very delayed. Now it's being released like a week after she was introduced into the game. Okay, let's do this.
I'm on a journey. Always have been. Don't ask me why though. It's just the way I am. Traveling to new places, experiencing new things, meeting new faces, and having good fights. And if I can find an awesome place to chow down, that's a bonus. Life isn't something to throw away. That's what I think anyway. Now, where to today?
Okay, so something interesting about Terry is that compared to other fighting game protagonists, is that he's very different. His first appearance, he was just about getting revenge. Meanwhile, the other characters like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat or Ryu in this game for World Series, they're more, I guess, stoic. I'm more focused on training and getting better. Well, Liu Kang is more like the chosen one that has to protect Earth Realm from being conquered by other realms. Well, apart from the revenge story, there is he just goes off. Most of the time he just wants to like have fun traveling, eating, playing basketball, fighting, but for fun. Like in all of the previous games. He joined those tournaments because, well, he does want to protect Southtown, but apart from that, that's not like his everyday life. I really think that most of the time in those tournaments he was just joining for fun. Except maybe the first one. I am not the best playing this character, I just started playing him while I was recording the videos, well, the clips for this video. So I'm going to probably make a lot of mistakes. I'm a real player as well. They're going to hit me? No. Yeah, what did I want to do? I think that I'm going to make mistakes. This is probably going to take a lot less time than the previous arcade modes. This game is, in my opinion, easier than the previous games, but I also have more experience. The, for example, those Fatal Fury games I played, it was like my first time playing them, or my first time playing them in a while. For example, I think the only ones that I didn't play before were the Real Bout Special and Real Bout 2 games. The other ones, I played them years ago, around the time that Terry was announced in Smash Bros. So that was 2019. Started playing those games in like late 2024 for this series. That's 5 years without playing those games. Yeah, because I did this before. I don't have to do the bonus mode. The bonus mode is trying to like destroy a car while doing combos before the time runs out. Well, not a car, a truck. Okay, that was close. It's always scary fighting against grapplers. Not quite having a full combo. She rocked it. Oh well.
Terry USA. Then one day, management at Pow Pow told me they were setting up a new shop, so I decided to visit Metro City. Whoa, hold the phone. Ken Masters, right? It's been what, over 20 years?
Terry? Hey, man.
Bro, what's with the ghetto? You go bankrupt or something? Never mind. just happy I got to see you again. How about we celebrate with a quick fight? What do you say?
Okay, so
Get ready. Don't expect me to be a
that reference to the 20 years ago, that was a reference to Capcom vs SNK.
Let's get to it.
That was the last time that these two characters had fought in a fighting game, which also makes that series canon. Before it was thought just as like a non-canon spin-off, kind of like the King of Fighters series towards the Fatal Fury series. And that thing about like being bankrupt in the story mode of this game. Okay, I guess before I have to explain something else. Ken is the owner of like a multi-million company, a multi-million-dollar company called the Masters Foundation. But before this game, well, before the story of this game, he gets blamed for a terrorist attack in another country. So he loses his company and has to leave his family behind to protect them. He meant to do that. So yeah, Terry was right, he did go bankrupt. Supposedly he also invested some money into crypto, but I don't remember if that's true. You know, it's kind of funny how they mentioned that 20 years have passed. Terry looks exactly the same as he did in previous games, and Ken is clearly looking older. Man, I cannot help but get heated up myself when you are bringing that kind of bit. Okay, so this is a reference to Real Bout 2, I believe. It's like the same animation.
Legends never die. Come on, get ready. Round one. Fight. Oh man, let's get to it. Hope you're not as rusty as you.
Wait, not Real Bout 2, Real Bout Special. I'm not back in time. Well, I could, but I missed the button. Okay, it worked. I got it too late. What's wrong? Your attacks are lacking their usual fire. In fact, they are lukewarm.
Okay. Call me crazy, Ken, but I get the feeling you aren't on your A game right now. Usually your strikes are red hot. This time they're a little bit soggy. You get my drift?
I got a lot on my mind. Sorry if I disappointed you, man.
Nah, dude. Your flame hasn't completely died out. Knowing you, you'll rise from the ashes of whatever's got a grip on you. I know, because we got the same fire burning inside of us, right? I don't know what kind of trouble you got on your mind, and it's really none of my business. But never forget, that there's always someone who wants to give you the fight of a lifetime. Someone like me, you know?
You haven't changed, man. Knowing guys like you who just keep at it without changing a thing, you're a good guy.
Glad to hear it. So, that means next time we meet, you're gonna bring the extra hot stuff, right?
You got it.
All right. See you, Ken.
Right. See you around, Terry.
I'm still on a journey. Fight, drink, eat, sleep, repeat. Seriously, it's a good life. Now, where to tomorrow?
Okay, that was the arcade mode. Well, kinda short, and to be fair, Terry doesn't have anything to do with the story of this game, so he was not going to do like anything important. But it's nice to see like these characters interact after 20 years.
Congratulations!
That is the concept art. There is another costume that you can unlock for him. So you have to like you have to unlock him in like either the story mode or buying it. What is the see if I can find it. This in alphabetic mode. That one is the Mark of the Wolves suit. I should have still some time, maybe. I'm probably going to record this in a different video. Let's try ranked later. For anyone that watched, thanks for watching. This is technically the culmination of this series of videos. There is technically one more thing, but that's not going to happen in months since it's not coming out soon. What else? Yeah. Thanks for watching, and anyone that watched the previous ones too.